Welcome to our exploration of how big data is regulated. In today's digital world, data is everywhere collected from our phones, computers, and even smart devices in our homes. But with so much information being gathered, how do we ensure it's used responsibly? This video will guide you through the basics of big data, why regulation is necessary, and the challenges that come with managing such vast amounts of information. We'll also look at real-world examples and discuss the future of data regulation. Let's start by understanding what big data actually means and why it's become such a crucial topic. Data refers to extremely large datasets that are analyzed to reveal patterns, trends, and associations, especially relating to human behavior and interactions. These datasets are so massive and complex that traditional data processing tools can't handle them efficiently. Think about all the information generated by social media, online shopping, and even wearable fitness trackers. This data is valuable for businesses, governments, and researchers, but it also raises important questions about privacy and security. Understanding what makes data big is the first step in grasping why regulation is needed. Over the past decade, the amount of data being generated has exploded. Every time you send a message, make a purchase online, or stream a video, you're adding to the global data pool. Companies and organizations now have access to more information than ever before, which can be used to improve products, target advertising, and even predict trends. However, this rapid growth also means that more personal information is being collected, often without people fully realizing it. This is why regulating big data has become such a pressing issue. So much data being collected, it's essential to have rules in place to protect individuals' privacy and ensure data is used ethically. Regulation helps prevent misuse, such as unauthorized sharing or selling of personal information. It also sets standards for how companies should store and secure data, reducing the risk of breaches and cyberattacks. Without proper regulation, there's a greater chance that sensitive information could fall into the wrong hands or be used in ways that harm individuals or society as a whole. Effective big data regulation is built on several key principles. These include transparency, which means organizations must be clear about what data they collect and how it's used. Consent is another crucial principle. People should have the right to know and decide if their data is collected. Accountability ensures that companies are held responsible for how they handle data. Finally, security measures must be in place to protect data from unauthorized access. Together, these principles form the foundation of most data protection laws around the world. Different countries have developed their own approaches to regulating big data. In the European Union, the General Data Protection Regulation (GDPR) sets strict rules for data collection and use, emphasizing user consent and the right to be forgotten. In the United States, regulations are more fragmented, with different states enacting their own laws. Other countries like China and India are also developing frameworks to manage data. These varying approaches reflect cultural differences and priorities, but all aim to balance innovation with privacy protection. General Data Protection Regulation, or GDPR, is one of the most comprehensive data protection laws in the world. It applies to any organization that handles the data of EU citizens, regardless of where the company is based. GDPR gives individuals more control over their personal information, including the right to access, correct, or delete their data. It also requires companies to report data breaches promptly and imposes heavy fines for noncompliance. GDPR has set a global standard for data privacy and inspired similar laws in other countries. In the United States, data regulation is more complex due to the lack of a single, comprehensive federal law. Instead, there are sector-specific regulations, such as HIPAA for health data and COPPA for children's online privacy. Some states like California have introduced their own laws, such as the California Consumer Privacy Act (CCPA), which gives residents more control over their personal data. This patchwork approach can make compliance challenging for companies operating across different states and sectors. China has taken a proactive stance on data regulation, introducing laws like the Personal Information Protection Law (PIPL) and the Cybersecurity Law. These regulations focus on protecting personal data, ensuring cybersecurity, and maintaining government oversight. Companies operating in China must comply with strict requirements for data storage, cross-border transfers, and user consent. China's approach reflects its emphasis on national security and control over digital infrastructure, setting it apart from Western models. India is also moving towards stronger data regulation with its proposed Personal Data Protection Bill. This legislation aims to give individuals more control over their data, require companies to obtain consent, and establish a regulatory authority to oversee compliance. The bill addresses issues like data localization, which requires certain data to be stored within the country. As India's digital economy grows, these regulations are designed to protect citizens while supporting innovation and economic development. Regulating big data is not easy. The sheer volume and variety of data combined with rapid technological change make it difficult for laws to keep up. New types of data are constantly being created, and companies often operate across borders, complicating enforcement. There's also the challenge of balancing innovation with privacy. Too much regulation can stifle progress, while too little can put people at risk. Policymakers must navigate these complexities to create effective and flexible regulations. One of the biggest debates in big data regulation is how to protect privacy without hindering innovation. Companies rely on data to develop new products, improve services, and stay competitive. However, if regulations are too strict, they may limit the ability to use data in creative ways. On the other hand, weak regulations can lead to privacy violations and loss of trust. Finding the right balance is key to ensuring both progress and protection. Consent is a cornerstone of data regulation. It means that individuals must be informed about what data is being collected and how it will be used, and they must agree to it. This empowers people to make choices about their personal information and helps build trust between users and organizations. However, obtaining meaningful consent can be challenging, especially when terms are buried in lengthy privacy policies. Regulators are working to make consent clearer and more user-friendly. Transparency is another key principle in regulating big data. Organizations must clearly explain what data they collect, why they collect it, and how it will be used. This openness helps users understand the risks and benefits of sharing their information. Transparent practices also make it easier for regulators to hold companies accountable. As data-driven technologies become more complex, maintaining transparency is essential for building public trust. Protecting data from unauthorized access is a top priority in regulation. Companies are required to implement security measures such as encryption, regular audits, and employee training. These steps help prevent data breaches, which can have serious consequences for both individuals and organizations. Regulators often set minimum security standards and may require companies to report breaches within a certain timeframe. Strong security is the backbone of effective data regulation. Accountability means that organizations must take responsibility for how they collect, store, and use data. This includes appointing data protection officers, conducting regular risk assessments, and keeping detailed records of data processing activities. When companies are held accountable, they are more likely to follow best practices and comply with regulations. Accountability also gives regulators the tools they need to investigate and address violations. Right to be forgot is a concept that allows individuals to request the deletion of their personal data from an organization's records. This right is especially important in the digital age, where information can remain online indefinitely. Under laws like GDPR, companies must honor these requests unless there are legitimate reasons to retain the data. This empowers people to control their digital footprint and protect their privacy. When a data breach occurs, organizations are often required by law to notify affected individuals and regulators promptly. This transparency helps people take steps to protect themselves, such as changing passwords or monitoring accounts for suspicious activity. Timely notification also encourages companies to improve their security practices. Regulations like GDPR set strict timelines for breach reporting, making it a critical part of data protection. In our globalized world, data often moves across borders. This creates challenges for regulation as different countries have different laws and standards. To address this, some regions have developed frameworks for cross-border data transfers, such as the EU standard contractual clauses. These agreements aim to ensure that data remains protected, no matter where it travels. Companies must navigate these rules to operate internationally while respecting privacy rights. Countries require that certain types of data be stored within their borders, a practice known as data localization. This is often done to protect national security and ensure that local authorities have access to data when needed. However, data localization can increase costs for companies and complicate international operations. Regulators must weigh the benefits of localization against the potential drawbacks for businesses and consumers. Forcing data regulations is a complex task. Regulators must monitor compliance, investigate complaints, and impose penalties for violations. This often involves working with other agencies and international partners. Effective enforcement ensures that companies take regulations seriously and that individuals' rights are protected. As data becomes more valuable, enforcement will continue to be a key focus for regulators worldwide. Organizations that fail to comply with data regulations can face significant penalties, including hefty fines and legal action. For example, under GDPR, fines can reach up to 4% of a company's global annual revenue. These penalties are designed to deter misconduct and encourage companies to prioritize data protection. In addition to financial consequences, noncompliance can damage a company's reputation and erode customer trust. New technologies like artificial intelligence, machine learning, and the Internet of Things are generating even more data. Regulators are working to adapt existing laws and create new ones to address the unique challenges posed by these innovations. For example, AI systems can make decisions based on personal data, raising questions about fairness and accountability. As technology evolves, so too must the rules that govern data use. Artificial intelligence relies heavily on big data to learn and make decisions. This raises ethical questions about bias, transparency, and accountability. Regulators are beginning to address these issues by developing guidelines for ethical AI use. These guidelines often require companies to test their algorithms for fairness, explain how decisions are made, and ensure that data is used responsibly. Ethical regulation is essential for building trust in AI technology. Internet of Things connects everyday devices to the internet, from smart thermostats to wearable fitness trackers. These devices collect vast amounts of data about our habits and routines. Regulating IoT data is challenging because devices are often made by different companies and used in various settings. Regulators are working to set standards for security, privacy, and interoperability to protect users and ensure devices work safely together. Data brokers collect and sell information about individuals, often without their direct knowledge. These companies compile data from various sources to create detailed profiles used for marketing, credit scoring, and more. Regulating data brokers is a growing concern, as individuals may have little control over how their information is used. Laws are being developed to increase transparency and give people more rights over their data. Protecting children's data is a top priority for regulators. Laws like COPPA in the US require companies to obtain parental consent before collecting information from children under 13. These rules are designed to safeguard young users from targeted advertising and other risks. As children spend more time online, regulators are updating laws to address new challenges and ensure that kids' data is handled with extra care. Health data is especially sensitive and subject to strict regulations. In the US, HIPAA sets standards for how medical information is stored, shared, and protected. Similar laws exist in other countries. These regulations require healthcare providers to implement strong security measures and give patients control over their information. Protecting health data is vital for maintaining trust in the healthcare system. Financial data, such as bank account details and credit card numbers, is another area where regulation is crucial. Laws require financial institutions to safeguard this information and notify customers of any breaches. Regulators also monitor for fraud and money laundering. Protecting financial data helps prevent identity theft and ensures the stability of the financial system. Modern data regulations give consumers more rights than ever before. These include the right to access their data, correct inaccuracies, and object to certain types of processing. Some laws also allow consumers to transfer their data to another provider. These rights empower individuals to take control of their digital lives and hold companies accountable for how their information is used. Companies have a responsibility to handle data ethically and in compliance with regulations. This includes training employees, conducting regular audits, and being transparent with customers. Corporate responsibility goes beyond legal requirements. It's about building trust and maintaining a positive reputation. Organizations that prioritize data protection are more likely to earn customer loyalty and avoid costly penalties. Many regulations require organizations to appoint a data protection officer, DPO. The DPO is responsible for overseeing data protection strategies, ensuring compliance, and serving as a point of contact for regulators and customers. Having a dedicated expert helps organizations navigate complex regulations and respond quickly to issues. The role of the DPO is becoming increasingly important as data regulation evolves. Educating the public about data rights and risks is essential for effective regulation. Governments and organizations run campaigns to inform people about how their data is used and what protections are in place. Increased awareness helps individuals make informed choices and encourages companies to adopt better practices. As technology changes, ongoing education will remain a critical part of data regulation. Advocacy groups play a vital role in shaping data regulation. These organizations raise awareness about privacy issues, lobby for stronger laws, and hold companies accountable for their practices. They also provide resources and support for individuals who want to exercise their data rights. Advocacy groups help ensure that regulations reflect the needs and concerns of the public. In addition to government regulation, many industries have developed their own codes of conduct and best practices for data protection. Self-regulation can help fill gaps in the law and encourage innovation. However, it relies on companies being proactive and transparent. Industry standards often evolve quickly to address new challenges, but they must be backed by strong enforcement to be effective. Because data flows across borders, international cooperation is essential for effective regulation. Countries work together through treaties, agreements, and organizations to harmonize standards and share best practices. This cooperation helps prevent loopholes and ensures that data is protected no matter where it travels. As global data use grows, international collaboration will become even more important. Future of big data regulation will be shaped by emerging technologies, evolving threats, and changing public expectations. We can expect to see more focus on AI ethics, stronger enforcement of existing laws, and new rules for areas like biometric data and facial recognition. Regulators will need to stay agile and responsive to keep pace with innovation and protect individuals' rights. Biometric data, such as fingerprints and facial recognition, is increasingly used for security and identification. However, this type of data is highly sensitive and requires special protection. Regulators are developing new rules to govern the collection, storage, and use of biometric information. These rules aim to prevent misuse and ensure that individuals have control over their most personal data. Facial recognition technology is powerful but controversial. It can be used for security, law enforcement, and even unlocking smartphones. However, it also raises concerns about surveillance, bias, and consent. Regulators are debating how to balance the benefits of facial recognition with the need to protect privacy and prevent abuse. Clear rules and oversight are essential to address these concerns. Many organizations are establishing data ethics committees to review how data is collected and used. These committees bring together experts from different fields to assess the ethical implications of data practices. By providing independent oversight, ethics committees help ensure that data is used responsibly and in line with societal values. Their recommendations often influence company policies and regulatory decisions. Regular audits are a key part of data regulation. Audits help organizations identify weaknesses in their data protection practices and ensure compliance with laws. They also provide transparency for regulators and the public. By conducting thorough audits, companies can address issues before they become major problems and demonstrate their commitment to data protection. Data minimization is the practice of collecting only the data that is necessary for a specific purpose. This principle helps reduce the risk of misuse and makes it easier to protect sensitive information. Regulators often require organizations to justify why they collect certain data and to delete it when it's no longer needed. Data minimization is a simple but effective way to enhance privacy. Help individuals manage their data. Many organizations offer tools like privacy dashboards and consent management platforms. These tools allow users to see what data is collected, adjust their preferences, and exercise their rights. Empowering users with easy-to-use tools is an important part of modern data regulation and helps build trust in digital services. Data regulation is an ongoing process. As technology and threats evolve, so must the rules and practices that protect our information. Organizations are encouraged to regularly review and update their data protection policies, invest in new security technologies, and stay informed about regulatory changes. Continuous improvement is essential for keeping pace with the fast-moving world of big data. Regulating big data is a complex but vital task in our digital age. By balancing innovation with privacy, enforcing strong protections, and adapting to new challenges, we can ensure that data is used responsibly and ethically. As individuals, organizations, and governments work together, the future of big data regulation looks promising. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the world of data regulation. Stay informed, stay empowered, and remember, the way we handle data today will shape our digital future.